Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 197 of the Knup Sports Show. Super excited to have you here today. We are creeping up on episode 200. I don't really know if that's cool or not, but I'm excited for that number for some reason. So we are creeping up to that number. We have another awesome guest today. I'm super excited, and we have a little history between our companies, which I'm excited to dive into a little bit here as we get going. But first off, I want to say thank you to you, the listeners, for supporting this show, watching it out on YouTube, listening to it on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're paying attention to this show. Really appreciate it. It kind of keeps my juices flowing, gets me going, and I'm excited to bring you another show today, and we'll dive right in. So without further ado, I have my guest, Mike Adorno of Hot Paper Lantern. Mike, welcome to the show, my friend.
It's good to see you. I got to tell you, usually, and this goes back to our relationship, is I'm behind the curtain on most of these calls with having my clients talk to you. So to be in the hot seat and be the one you're interviewing is actually quite the treat.
I love it. Being in the hot seat. You're in the hot seat now, so you better be ready for the tough questions.
I think I can do it.
No, that's amazing. But yes, first off, thank you for all that Hot Paper Lantern does. We kind of have this little partnership where we're helping each other out, and you're bringing some amazing guests over here to the show. So really, just from the bottom of my heart, truly appreciate that. Before we get going here, Mike.
No. We appreciate you. You've been a true friend for the past couple of years, and we love working with you. So
awesome. Well, cool. Well, let's dive in. Yeah, let's dive into you. I love, the first thing I always love to do is just get to know the guest a little bit and get to know you and kind of your path and your background that led you to where you are today. So before we dive into HPL and what all's going on there, tell us about yourself.
Well, I think the company's a little bit more interesting than me, but I'm Mike Adorno. I'm VP of Communications at Hot Paper Lantern, and I have a more than 15-year career in public relations, focusing in on strategic comms and media relations. I've worked with a number of different companies and worked at a number of different agencies, from the Corcoran Group to KPMG, and now here to Hot Paper Lantern.
That's amazing. So, a lot of PR, that's good. But for those that aren't familiar with Hot Paper Lantern, I mean, the name, maybe some are like, well, what the heck's Hot Paper Lantern? Give us the 1,000-foot view of Hot Paper Lantern, what you guys do, what you guys are specializing in, and things of that nature from a company side.
Fantastic. So Hot Paper Lantern is a brand communications and marketing firm located here in New York City. We provide services for specific verticals like financial services, healthcare, consulting, technology. We have a number of noted clients like Allianz, Nikon, EY, Meta. And then one of the things that makes us great is that we are a mid-sized agency, so we are able to be nimble and try new things and branch out into different areas. And we created about 4 years ago a specialty group within Hot Paper Lantern called HPL Digital Sport. And our sole focus is leveraging our knowledge of brand marketing and communications and providing those services to sports betting, iGaming, and sports tech companies. Yeah. So in the past 4 years, we work with public-facing companies like Sportradar and venture-backed tech startups like WagerWire. And we've also worked with a number of noted operators from the fantasy and sports betting side and the investment side as well, like Monkey Knife Fight and Fifth Street Gaming, as well as Rush Street Interactive and Circa. So we provide services across the board and have worked with a number of the leading names in the industry.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, we see you guys everywhere, and of course, us working a little bit together, we definitely know a lot of the companies that you're working with. But can you, I don't know, name drop? And I know you have tons and tons of companies, but some of the big companies that you're working with these days.
Yeah. So right now we're working with some really exciting companies. I think, and actually, you just spoke with one of our clients from FTN, Stefano from FTN. We're working with companies like Sportradar, WagerWire, and Playmaker, the media company, which is very cool, especially with what they're doing on the social side. So we're working with a lot of exciting things, and we have some big things up in the pipeline. So we'll keep you up to date on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I wanted to really dial in on one certain area. I know recently you guys just did the HPL Digital Sport, kind of like a survey, right? And you were able to dive in and tell us a lot about this survey and kind of how it went. But tell us high level what this survey was, how it went, and who it was for, what you guys were surveying.
Absolutely. So one of the core tenets of HPL Digital Sport is our commitment to building original data sets.
Mm,
I think when you go back to when we started this group in 2019, there wasn't really, I mean, this is such a new industry. There wasn't anything talking about the better. Like
mm,
back then, the only data sets you could really find were handle
yeah.
and then all the crazy stuff that Mattress Mac was doing. There was nothing in between, right? There's those two poles and then nothing in between. And so we said, if we're going to be successful and we're going to better ourselves in the industry, we need to create the market essentially and create the data that's going to push this forward. And so
Sure.
back in 2019, we set out to create the first ever study that's focusing in on the needs, wants, and behaviors of bettors. And that became
Mm,
our flagship study called the State of the New Sports Bettor that we
yep.
released in 2020. And it was amazing. And it started a lot of cool conversations and it really rounded out what that middle was. What does the average bettor want?
Mm,
And we started getting some traction and we wanted to continue building these original data sets. So in 2021 we were the first ever to measure and study answers from sports betting executives about what they feel about the market,
sure.
and then match that with user expectations to show that dichotomy between executives and then what users really want in the market. And going back to the original question about what we're talking here today, is we haven't done a study in a while. We thought to ourselves, we really, what's next? How are we going to, change something? How can we bring something new to the market? And like any good PR firm, we talked to the media every single day. And at the end of last year, we had kind of a list of questions that we wanted to kind of ask everybody that we usually talk to.
Mm,
And one of those questions just happened to be, what do you think? Who do you think is the most innovative sports book out there?
mm,
Which was kind of a throwaway question, but one thing really happened in every one of those conversations. Everybody said FanDuel.
mm,
I must have done about 10 of those conversations, and I swear every single person said FanDuel. And so we circled back as a team. We said, there's something here. If everybody's saying the same thing, let's figure out what it is. And
yeah.
so from that, we created our brand new study, which you can see on your screen, which is the State of the Sports Book Media Scoreboard on Innovation. So we also actually, and going back just a touch, we also figured out that nobody had ever polled the media before, the sports
Yeah.
betting media, about
Yeah.
what's happening in the market. If you look at any other vertical, financial services, healthcare, politics, a great temperature gauge is polling the media. They'll tell you
Mm,
where the trends are, what's happening, what's kind of interesting, where to look for certain things. And it's never happened with sports betting. So we're
yeah.
like, we have this great resource, this pool of media that we work with. Let's ask them. Let's figure out. They talk to all these executives. They talk to the subject matter experts, the technologists as well. They
Mm,
see everything across the landscape. Let's ask them what they feel.
sure.
And so that's what we built. And we've got some really interesting data about how the media specifically is
Mm.
looking at innovation in the sports betting industry.
Yeah, it's very interesting, that FanDuel, I mean, they're so much higher, just, I mean, and again, we won't dive into the points and all of this, but I mean, they're double anyone else in the industry from an innovation side. That's really interesting. What do you think, made that? And I know there was a lot of pieces that went into that, but what are some of the key things of innovation that FanDuel stood out in, and maybe some of the others were behind or at least got mentioned for?
So there's two tracks in thinking about how this works, right? So there's the actual what the company's doing, and I can't really get too much into the
Sure.
intricacies of FanDuel because I don't know it. But from what I've heard from the reporters was especially the technology aspect, owning
Mm,
a lot of pieces of their technology, being first to market, smart pricing, um, and a better UX experience for the users.
sure.
Those were a lot of the themes that I heard. Um, I know a lot of other companies have to outsource their tech. They don't own as much. It takes a little bit longer to bring things to market, which is why I
Mm,
think FanDuel jumped ahead.
sure.
One of the other aspects of this is you always have to remember this data set is the media's perception, not what bettors think, and it's not what executives think or feel. It's what the media wants. So the media only knows what they've been told or what they read or what they're reading. So while yes, FanDuel is 100% ahead. If you look at the operators on that list, they need to go out there and tell their story. They need to showcase their product. They need to beta or test or demo these reporters into what they're doing or how they're doing it. So not only is it what they're doing, but it's the messaging and the stories that they're telling about their technology.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I look at PointsBet or Bet365 or Circa, 3 books that are certainly not in the top 4 usually when it comes to handle, or at all when it comes to handle, but they are so far ahead on this list. So they are doing something where they are communicating their technology. They're communicating their story in a different way to showcase how they're different and how they're moving the needle in different ways.
Very interesting. And it's very interesting. The study, it's super cool that you guys dove into this. I'm sure you found tons and tons of takeaways and things that people are going to be interested in. One of the other takeaways that I read, from this, you're talking a little bit about new entities, right? And some of the new companies that are emerging in 2023. Touch a little bit on Fanatics, because I know you guys kind of touched on Fanatics a little bit. It's maybe their year to lose.
Absolutely.
Explain that. What do we got going on with Fanatics in 2023?
I personally believe there's no company in sports betting right now that has as much momentum behind it.
Yeah.
And build up about what they're going to do than Fanatics. They are this juggernaut just waiting to burst through the wall. And they're doing a very interesting thing, right? They've released information that they will be launching, that they will be doing certain things, but there's a lot of speculation, and a lot of people are writing stories pontificating of what they may do, which is actually really interesting. It's almost like if you think about like what Lamar Jackson's doing right now in free agency, he hasn't talked a lot to people. It's a lot of people speculating of where he'll go, and that story is just building. So Fanatics is doing that. Their story is building through people taking different pieces of information and really expounding on it, which is fascinating. And I think, from what we've heard and what we studied, it's their year to lose. I think everybody can't wait to see what they do. How will it integrate? What will it look like? How will it be different than the rest? Will it have some sort of component with Fanatics wearables and have that type of loyalty capabilities where if you bet a certain amount of times, you earn points and you can get a shirt or a hat or a jersey or what have you? I think people are really fascinating to see what they'll do, because you can't turn your computer on every single day or read the newsletters that are popping into your inbox every morning without Fanatics wearables, collectibles, or sportsbook being somewhere in the mention.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. I mean, I think all of us are, as you pointed out there. They've been making a lot of noise in a lot of different industries, moving into the collectibles and sports cards and trading cards and all of the above. So I'm excited to see what they do on the betting side. I think you're 100% right that it should be a big year from them, and if not, then we'll see. I guess it's their year to lose. So what else stood out? Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just about to say the other interesting thing about Fanatics and the people jumping into the market is to counter the data that we had from the journalists. We also work with a number of consultants and analysts in the industry, and we said, what would be really interesting? Let's give them a preview of the data and see how they feel. And so we got a number of really good quotes, and we included them into the study. But one of the really interesting things that we found, and everything really tracked. The analysts were like, this data tracks, this makes sense from our perspective. But when you go to talking about like that group of Fanatics or incoming companies, one analyst had a very perceptive thought. With Fanatics, we know what's happening. At some point this year, Fanatics will launch somewhere with their sportsbook. But this one analyst said, what people aren't really thinking about is this DraftKings announcement with Disney. And yes, it was a little bit nebulous in what they were trying to say. It was very unclear, and they almost punted it a little bit. But when you really think about it, the backing of Disney, like the resources of Disney, the brand of ESPN, and then DraftKings infrastructure. If you really think about that, and the analyst said, if they start articulating what they're doing or put it together, that's an 800-pound gorilla just waiting to take some market share away from everybody.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the cobra in the grass. Nobody knows what's happening. There's been that little bit of announcement, but the potential DraftKings ESPN / Disney announcement is huge, but it's just not taking off because there's no immediacy like with Fanatics.
Oh man, interesting. I am sure you could talk for days about this, Mike. Like you probably have so many little nuggets to talk about.
I love this stuff.
Let's touch on something. Let's touch on one more thing. I'm not going to keep you here all day because I know we're all busy people and you're a busy man. But give me one more nugget. Give me one more thing that I don't care where you go with it, but something else that you got out of the study here.
All right. So at the end of the study, we asked what's the innovative element that you feel is going to move the needle in 2023, and we kind of knew this was going to come, but half of the audience was talking about in-play betting and micro betting.
Yeah,
everybody's talking about it. We know it's coming. We know there's things to work out, but it's very imminent. But if you look at a different piece, if you look in the pie chart, there's two things that really stepped out to us. One was the 17% that said the evolution of sports betting content, and I think it was 8% or 4% was talking about the loyalty part, the loyalty omnichannel rewards program. I think those are two very interesting things when it comes to innovation, because if you look at airline points or American Express or whatnot, those loyalty points really change a person's behavior. And I know there's a handful of sports books that have dabbled in it a little bit, but to have those types of rewards or those types of loyalty points that you earn something later is so critical. And loyalty is not something that happens right now when it comes to sports books. We know that the average person uses 2 to 3 just there. More people are price shopping across 12. So how do you build loyalty? And that's something. But going back to the evolution of sports betting content, no one's really figured it out yet. There's so much content about sports betting, right? You've got two guys yelling at each other to, fade the Patriots, and then there's social content, and then there's people that are like, minus 120, this is a lock, and then there's people that kind of dumb it down a little bit, and they're like, all right, the Leafs are 85% to beat the Canadians tonight. So everybody's trying to figure it out, and everybody's trying to figure out, is it Twitter? Is it YouTube? Is it a podcast? And everybody's experimenting in really different ways. And I think this evolution of innovation within the sports book is also going to maximize how content is created and utilized.
100% agree. And being a content guy myself, I love that one. I think, evolution of sports betting content is definitely here and coming for sure. So Mike, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about a little two-pronged question. Let's talk about the future. So one, what does the future for HPL look like? And then secondly, what's the future of this survey look like? I want to hear a little bit more about, are you doing more of these? Are you going to continue to dive into the surveys? So give me a little bit about HPL, a little bit about the survey. What's going on in the future for you guys?
Well, future of HPL is, we're going to continue providing the best services and counsel for our clients, and expanding into different new areas, innovating, and re-educating ourselves so we can provide the best solutions and counsel for our clients. I think next for the study, we very purposely built this study as a template and to put in new topics. So innovation is very, we were testing it out it's a very big idea and it's a very big thought, but it's very easy to say, state of the sports book, media scoreboard on X or media. So we're throwing around some new ideas. We want to do about a couple of these a year to see, and then redo them and see how things change. So I think you can expect the innovation scoreboard to come out in the first quarter of next year, and we can see how FanDuel tracks, or if Better makes the list, or if Fanatics is on top. Who knows? But we want to do other topics, and we're throwing around some different ideas. We're thinking about things like M&A. We're thinking about user experience. The study has opened us up to a lot of conversations with other people, and someone else brought up responsible gambling.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting topics, but I would actually love to pose the question to your audience.
Cool.
With this type of study, and we have the ability to poll the media, what would you like to see? What topic is top of mind for you, and how would you go about this? So we'd love to hear.
I wish we were live and I could put up a poll and start getting beep, 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 all sorts of messages coming in. But because this is recorded and going out later, we can't do this. But we'll make sure to put it up on social media. We'll poll the audience. And for those of you watching this, make sure you go out to check out Twitter and some of the social medias that we have, and we'll pose that question and try to get some idea generation going for you guys. That'll be cool.
No, it'd be awesome. We love it. And thank you so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, Mike. I mean, 100%. This has been good. Congrats on the study. Congrats on the success of HPL. Keep up the great work. You guys are doing amazing stuff. And, I always like to end the show with any last words, anything that I missed, anything you wanted to touch on that we didn't talk about at all.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say congratulations on making the short list for the EGR Awards.
Thank you.
Couldn't have happened to a better guy.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. That was fun for us. So we're excited for that.
No problem.
All right, Mike. Well, I appreciate your time here today. Again, I'm sure we'll have you on and your other guests on quite a bit in the near future. So good luck with everything. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, or download the study and get a hold of the study, how are they going to get to it?
Yeah, so go to hpldigitalsport.com, and then you can click on the research tab, and it'll be right there.
Cool. I almost forgot to ask, but we'll definitely put up the link in the show notes, and we'll put it all over, so they won't be able to miss it. But I'm glad you were able to put that out there.
No problem. Thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
All right, Mike. Take care. Talk to you soon. All right, that was Mike Adorno, Hot Paper Lantern, one of the great guys in the industry. It's been a pleasure getting to know him over the years, and really getting to know what HPL stands for and what they're doing some awesome things. Hopefully you'll get to go out there, download the study, take a look at it. We touched on quite a bit that was going on in the innovation side of it. And then we'll also pose the question, like Mike said, what do you want to hear from them next? What kind of study would you like them to do in the future? And we'll pose that question. So if you have any comments, make sure you comment on that with your thoughts, and we'll go from there. All right, that's all I have for you today. Checking out of episode 187. I'm Ryan Newpol. You can find me out on any social media at my name or KNUP, however you want to find it. Appreciate your time today. And stay safe out there. Enjoy the Final Four this weekend. This should go out before the Final Four, but enjoy the games. They're going to be awesome. We got maybe a bunch of teams that people weren't expecting to be there, but it's going to be fun regardless. So enjoy that. And then baseball starting up as well. So enjoy the sports time as we're going on. All right. Until next time, I'm Ryan Newpol. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.